Hi guys, welcome to my round 14 tips in review video. I got 5 out of 7 tips correct here, and well, let's get into them anyway. There's only 7 games, 4 teams had a bye this round, and yeah, 7 games, I got 5 of them correct. So let's go through them. The first game was St Kilda versus Western Bulldogs. I got that correct. It was St Kilda 60 to Western Bulldogs 132. So that's a 72-point win. And yeah, I expected that to happen because, I mean, they already played earlier this year, and Western Bulldogs just thrashed St Kilda. It's, it's not even a game to watch because St Kilda is just not really playing that good. They're not going to make the finals, and Western Bulldogs do look like a finals team. They're currently sitting in 9th, and they just put away teams like St Kilda and Essendon, and they're a very good team. Really, I'd say Western Bulldogs, when you watch them at their best, I honestly think they're like a top 4 team. But for some reason, they're in 9th at the moment, so they're at their best. Like the Western Bulldogs they can just crush teams and beat pretty much any team in the comp, but then they slip up against some easy opposition. They lose games that you don't expect, so I don't get it, but at least I got my tip correct here. And yeah, St Kilda, I'd say their season is done for. They're just not going to be in the final. So, but anyway, I got that correct. The next game, it was on Friday night. Hawthorn versus Adelaide Crows. Hawthorn 47, Adelaide Crows 44. This game was kind of boring to watch in a way. I was watching it. It was in Launceston, and cold night in Launceston Friday night, and it was just so scrappy to watch. I thought there'd be a lot more attacking play, but a lot of points kicked and not very many goals. I think it was like 6 goals to 5 goals or something. It was just, I don't know what. I got it correct because I did tip Hawthorn here, but it was just a scrappy game to watch. And I don't know, Adelaide Crows are like, they play these games and they try to make it like a scrap, and it's very unattractive to watch, really. That, it's the same with the Brisbane Lions. When Adelaide Crows played Brisbane, it was very scrappy and unattractive, but all the media and stuff were saying how Adelaide Crows are the real deal, or this is them showing that they're a finals team. But I mean, that game, Adelaide Crows against Brisbane, I think Brisbane did look like the better team for most of that game, and they kicked themselves out of it in the end. They had like 8 shots and they kicked 8 points, and really Brisbane could have won that game easy. It's just it was a scrappy game, and Brisbane was their own worst enemy. They kicked themselves out of it. So Adelaide Crows they're a lot better to watch when they're playing attacking football instead of getting involved in these scrappy games where it's just not really enjoyable to look at. And I've noticed that they do play like that sometimes. It's like they're playing a very defensive, tackling type game. That's their 2 modes, defensive and tackling. or all-out attack. But anyway, that's why I think they lost the game, because they're just too defensive, and they got players like Thilthorpe and Fogarty, and they basically didn't do anything against Hawthorn. So, yeah, they're the two goal kickers, and you expect them to do something, but they were pretty much doing hardly anything in that game. So, a good win for Hawthorn, good for their confidence, but pretty bad for Adelaide Crows. Then we had Brisbane Lions versus Giants, the Western Sydney Giants. And I got that tip wrong because I tipped Brisbane to win, and it was Brisbane 96 to Giants 107. I tipped Brisbane because I just thought that's a safe option, and Giants they haven't been playing very good. When they play good, they're one of the best teams when they actually play good. But when they play like crap, then you have no confidence in them. Because Giants, I was thinking they lost to Port Adelaide. They just beat Richmond by 3 points. They lost to Fremantle. But then they're able to beat teams like Geelong, beat Geelong at Geelong's ground, and they beat Collingwood in the first round. So it really depends what sort of Giants team you're going to get on the day. And I was just being safe, picking Brisbane. But it was sort of obvious in the second half that this is the Giants playing at their best. And Jesse Hogan kicked 6 goals, I believe. And they're just playing very good against Brisbane. And they had beaten Brisbane last year at the Gabba before. So, I tipped Brisbane. They're a bit disappointing. They're inaccurate in front of goal. And that's why I got my tip wrong and Giants won. But I'm glad for the Giants, because I don't hate the Giants. I like them. But they're just not always consistent. But it's a good win for them. They've beaten, the top 3 teams in the comp. I mean, they've beaten Collingwood, Geelong, and Brisbane Lions. So they should be playing finals this year. Well, as for Brisbane, I mean, they haven't shown their best form this year, but it's a bit like last year. They didn't absolutely crush teams and, play the best football, but they still won the grand final, even though I think they weren't even in the top 4 last year. Brisbane were 5th on the ladder or something. Anyway, the next game is Essendon versus Geelong Cats. And it was Essendon 56, Geelong 151. And I tipped Geelong, so I got that correct. Just a easy win for Geelong. It's 95-point win. Essendon has a terrible record against Geelong. They just can't handle Geelong. Geelong has been one of the best teams for so long that Essendon, they don't have any answers. And I just had that feeling that Essendon, they're not good enough to beat teams like Geelong. Geelong is one of the best in the comp. They're second to only Collingwood, and I noticed Essendon can't stick tackles. Some of their players they're not strong enough. They don't have the skill level. They are a good side, Essendon, at times, but they're just not ready yet to be beating the absolute best teams. And I think the last time they beat Geelong was like nearly 10 years ago. It was 2017 or something, 2018. So I got that correct. Then we had North Melbourne versus Fremantle. I tipped Fremantle, and it was North Melbourne 67 to Fremantle 73. Just a 6-point win for Fremantle there in Perth. It was a bit closer than I would have thought this game. I mean, Fremantle's been playing pretty good football, getting some good wins, but North Melbourne were really challenging them, and I didn't expect it to be as close as it was. But it shows that North Melbourne are, they're a tough team, and they do play well at times. They've got 3 wins this year. They're just, they got a young team, and I think North Melbourne will just get better and better over the years, and they're unlucky to have lost this game. But yeah, I tipped Fremantle. I got it correct, and luckily Fremantle are in 8th spot, and yeah, I don't know if they'll make the finals or not. I think it's going to be a battle between teams like Western Bulldogs and Fremantle, and possibly Giants. But there's really 9 teams that are in the running for the final spots, and I think it's either Bulldogs are going to get there or Fremantle. One of those teams, or Giants might be out. I'm not sure. So we have to see. But I got my tip Fremantle correct over North Melbourne. Then we had Port Adelaide versus Melbourne at Adelaide Oval. Port Adelaide 93, Melbourne 68. I tipped Melbourne Demons, but they lost 25 points. I just thought that Melbourne was going to play better than they did. I thought, they had chances to beat Collingwood the week before and chances to beat St Kilda the week before that. Lots of shots where they could have won the game, and it's, at the end of the day, it's their inaccuracy in front of goal that has cost them those games, and that's exactly what happened here in this game. They had the chances to win the game, and they made the chances. They just needed to kick the goals. But for some reason, Melbourne Demons, like right now, they're struggling with goal accuracy. They kick so many points, and it's disappointing because they do play good football and they have lots of good players. I think they have the potential to be back in the finals again, but this year has been disappointing for them. So, it's good for Port Adelaide. They got the win. Their season is going okay now. Port Adelaide probably won't make finals, but Melbourne Demons, I tipped them, and it's a bit disappointing to see where they're at right now, because they could have won those games against Collingwood and St Kilda. It's just the accuracy was off. So, and the last game we have here is West Coast versus Carlton. West Coast 52, Carlton 86. And that was at Optus Stadium in Perth. So Carlton won by 34 points. I tipped Carlton to win, and they did. Not much to say anyway about this game, but yeah, Carlton, they already beat West Coast earlier by 70 points this season. and they played them. This is the second time. They're going to be playing North Melbourne next week, so a couple winnable games for Carlton, but it wasn't convincing, this game, because Carlton, they dominated, absolutely dominated for the first quarter, and this is like the story of their season, that they dominate one quarter or absolutely dominate one half of a game, and then they just do nothing for the next three quarters or half a game, allowing the other team to come back into the game. So that's what happened here. Carlton just came out of the blocks, kicking lots of goals. They were nearly like 50 points in the first quarter, and then they just decided to do hardly anything the next three quarters, and West Coast, got a few more goals, and it looked a bit more even after that. So I don't know why Carlton is doing that, why that's part of their strategy. But, when Carlton plays their best, they do look pretty good. I just don't know why it's like they show all this effort for one quarter or half a game, and then they do nothing the next half of the game. So, I mean, watching their games, I'd say, looking at it, I'd have to say that their performance, Carlton versus Geelong, was their best game, because that was a full 4 quarters against Geelong. And they didn't sit back, and they just played a hard game, and they beat Geelong by 3 goals, by 18 points. So I'd say that is their best win of the 6 wins they've had. That is the one to be proud of, beating Geelong. As for their other wins and results, not really much to say about them. They've beaten St Kilda, Essendon, North Melbourne, West Coast, but there's nothing in those wins to say, they're really so good that they beat those teams that convinced me they're going to be a finals team. But no, I'd say the best win was against Geelong. So anyway, that's enough about Carlton. And those were my tips there. I got 5 out of 7. It's just I tipped Melbourne Demons to win, they lost, and I tipped Brisbane Lions to win, and they lost too. So those were my 2 wrong, and I got 5 correct. Anyway, thank you for watching this video of my round 14 tips. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.